Hey, so tonight we're going to talk about what it was like to be a coal miner in the early 20th century, back when men hacked away at the earth with picks and shovels instead of operating massive machines with teeth the size of your forearm. And I gotta tell you, by the time we're done, you're going to be real grateful for that soft mattress you're lying on. Oh, and if you're enjoying these stories, I'd really appreciate a like or subscribe. Super curious where you're all listening from, so drop a comment with your location and what time it is there. Always blows my mind how people are falling asleep to this all over the world. All right, find that cozy spot, take a nice slow breath and just let your body sink into whatever you're lying on. We're heading back to the coal country of West Virginia around 1910, before continuous miners with massive rotating drums chewed through coal seams, before longwall mining machines that could extract 40,000 tons a day, before modern ventilation systems cleared the deadly gases. Back when every day underground was a gamble with your life, and trust me, you're going to be real grateful for modern life by the time we're done. So, congratulations. You just woke up in a coal mining town in 1910. Your eyes crack open to darkness, not the kind of darkness when you forget to close your blinds and the streetlights shine through. True darkness, the kind that swallows everything, like the 7-mile-long tunnel miners at Camp Creek have to travel through every day just to reach their work site. You're lying on a thin straw mattress that crinkles when you move. The springs underneath poke into your back in 3 different places. A threadbare wool blanket scratches against your chin. It smells like other people. Lots of other people who've used it before you. The air inside this tiny room is thick with coal dust. You can taste it, gritty, metallic. It coats your throat and makes you want to cough, but you hold it in because the walls in this company house are thin as paper and you don't want to wake the other miners who share this room with you. Somewhere nearby, a baby is crying. A dog barks once, twice, then goes silent. The scent of coal smoke hangs in the air, mixed with the sharp tang of unwashed bodies and the musty smell of damp wood. The house creaks as someone moves around downstairs. Your joints ache as you sit up. Not because you're old, you're only 25, but because yesterday you spent 10 hours hunched over in a tunnel barely tall enough to crawl through, swinging a pick at a coal seam. Good news? You've got a job when millions are struggling. Bad news? That job might kill you today. You swing your legs over the side of the bed and your feet touch the rough wooden floor. It's cold, even in summer. The boards are uneven, with gaps that let in drafts from below. Through the cracks, you can see the bare dirt underneath the house. Outside, a whistle blows. Long, harsh, insistent. It's 4:30 in the morning, and it's time to get ready for work. You reach for the clothes you hung on the nail last night. They're still damp with sweat and coal dust from yesterday. Doesn't matter. They'll be filthy again in an hour anyway. The fabric is stiff with embedded coal particles that never quite wash out. Your fingers find the familiar holes and worn spots as you pull on your shirt. From the corner, you grab your metal lunch pail. Your wife, if you're lucky enough to have one, or maybe your mother has packed you some food, probably a biscuit, maybe a bit of fatback, possibly an apple if things are going well. The food will taste like coal dust too. Everything does. Next to the lunch pail is your water bottle, a dented metal container that will be warm by midday. You'll ration it carefully. The mine is hot, much hotter than people expect. Some tunnels get up to 90 degrees and the air is so thick you can barely breathe. The most important item sits on the small table by the bed, your headlamp. Early miners used candles, then carbide lamps that burned with an open flame. Those were dangerous. The flame could ignite methane gas or coal dust and cause an explosion. You've seen what a methane explosion can do, like the one at Monongah in 1907 that killed 362 miners in an instant. But in 1910, you might have a battery-powered lamp instead. It's heavy, with a cord that runs to a battery you'll strap to your belt. That battery will dig into your hip all day, but at least it's safer. You can hear your bunkmates stirring now. Like you, they're moving slowly, deliberately. Nobody rushes to get to the mine, but nobody's late either. If you're late, you might lose your job. And in a company town, losing your job means losing everything. The floor creaks as you stand, your back already hurts, and your day hasn't even started. But there's no calling in sick, no taking a day off, not if you want to keep that roof over your head. In the company town, everything belongs to the mining company. The house you sleep in, the store where you buy food, even the church where you pray on Sundays. The doctor who treats your injuries works for the company. The teacher who teaches your kids works for the company. And here's the kicker. You don't even get paid in real money. You get paid in scrip, metal tokens, or paper vouchers that can only be used at the company store. They set the prices, and they're always just a little higher than what you earn, so every month you go a little deeper in debt. "I owe my soul to the company store" isn't just a line from a song. It's how life actually worked. You make your way downstairs, stepping carefully on the creaking steps. In the main room, a small coal stove gives off a little heat. If you're lucky, someone has already stoked it, and there might be a pot of coffee, black, bitter, but hot. Around the rough wooden table, other miners are gathering. Some are just boys, 12, 13 years old. Their faces are serious beyond their years. They've already seen things no kid should see, watched men get crushed under falling rock or die slowly from black lung disease, coughing up coal dust until finally they just stop breathing. Nobody talks much. What is there to say? Hope we don't die today? That goes without saying. The company houses are all identical, small, square, built quick and cheap. 4 rooms, if you're lucky. In coal towns, everything is covered with a fine layer of black dust. It settles on windowsills, on dishes, on your skin. Women hang laundry to dry, and before it's even dry, a new layer of coal dust has settled on it. Kids play in dirt that's mixed with coal. Their knees are permanently stained black. You grab a chipped mug and pour yourself some coffee. It's strong enough to stand a spoon in, and that's good because you need to be alert underground. One mistake, one moment of inattention, and you might not come back up. Outside, the second whistle blows. Time to head to the mine entrance. You pull on your boots, they're still damp too, and the leather is cracked and stained black. You grab your lunch pail and headlamp and join the stream of men and boys walking through the dark toward the mine. The air is cool on your face. The only time today you'll feel that. The stars are still out, cold pinpricks of light in the black sky above. In the distance, you can see the outline of the tipple, the structure where coal is loaded into railroad cars, silhouetted against the night sky. The tall wheels of the mine shaft rise up like gallows. Your feet know the way without thinking, past identical company houses, past the company store with its high prices, past the superintendent's house, the only nice building in town with a real glass window and a porch. The super watches as you walk by. He knows every miner by sight, knows who's fast and who's slow, who causes trouble and who keeps quiet. As you get closer to the mine entrance, the crowd of miners grows. Hundreds of men in worn clothes, carrying lunch pails and headlamps, moving like a dark river toward the earth's open mouth. You can smell it now, the distinctive smell of a coal mine. It's the smell of damp earth, of metal, of men's sweat, and underneath it all, the rich, ancient smell of coal itself, what some old-timers call buried sunshine, energy from plants that grew millions of years ago. At the entrance, you join the line of men waiting to go down. If it's a shaft mine, you'll crowd into a metal cage with dozens of other miners and descend hundreds, maybe thousands of feet below the surface. If it's a slope mine, you might walk down a long slanting tunnel or ride a car down rails that disappear into darkness. The mine's mouth breathes out cool air that smells of wet stone and minerals. Some men cross themselves before entering, others touch a lucky charm or whisper a prayer. Everyone has their ritual. Inside, the darkness is complete except for the bobbing lights of headlamps. The ceiling is low, propped up by wooden timbers that groan under the weight of the mountain above. Water drips constantly. The rails that carry coal cars are slick and uneven. You make your way to your section, the part of the mine where you'll work today. It might be half a mile from the entrance. It might be 2 miles. You walk in a crouch because the ceiling is too low to stand straight. Your headlamp cuts a small circle of light in the pressing darkness. The further in you go, the harder it is to breathe. The air is thick with coal dust that your light catches like tiny stars. Methane gas might be building up in poorly ventilated areas. Carbon monoxide, the silent killer, might be waiting in a low spot. When you reach your section, you meet your team. In room and pillar mining, you're carving out rooms of coal while leaving pillars to support the roof. Your foreman tells you about these columns of coal, essential to hold up the mountain above. Forget to leave enough support, and the whole thing collapses, not like today's mines with their hydraulic steel canopies that move along as the coal seam is cut. It's dangerous work. The coal face, the wall of coal you're attacking, could collapse on you. The roof could fall in. A spark could ignite coal dust or gas. But the work is simple enough. You attack the coal seam with your pick, breaking off chunks that someone else will load into cars. If your mine is more modern, you might use a cutting machine, an early version, nothing like today's continuous miners with drums covered in spinning bits that tear through the earth. The work is backbreaking either way. The noise is deafening. Picks striking coal, cutting machines whining, coal cars rumbling, men shouting to be heard. The air vibrates with it, but there's also the sound of the mountain itself, creaks and groans as millions of tons of rock shift slightly above you. And so your day begins. Swing the pick, break the coal, load it, move forward. The seam might be 4 feet high, forcing you to work on your knees. It might be only 20 inches, and you'll lie on your side, swinging your pick with one arm. Your body will find positions you never imagined possible. The heat builds as the day goes on. Sweat soaks your clothes, making the coal dust stick to your skin in a thick paste. Your mouth gets dry, but you ration your water. Your muscles burn with fatigue, but you keep going because the mine boss is watching, and if you don't dig enough coal, you might not have a job tomorrow. Hours pass. It's impossible to tell time underground. There's no sun, no change in light, just the endless dark and the coal face slowly moving back as you attack it. Your world narrows to the small circle of light from your headlamp, the feel of the pick in your hands, the weight of the coal, the burning in your muscles. This is what you do 6 days a week. Down before dawn, up after dark. You might not see sunlight except on Sundays. And always, always there's the danger. It rides on your shoulder like a demon. The danger of cave-ins, thousands of pounds of rock suddenly breaking free from the ceiling. The danger of methane gas, odorless, invisible, explosive. The danger of coal dust, which can ignite in a flash and send a fireball racing through tunnels. The danger of flooding, underground streams suddenly breaking through a wall. The danger of simply getting lost in the maze of tunnels and slowly suffocating in the dark. But today, you're lucky. Today, the mountain decides to spare you. When the whistle blows again, muffled by hundreds of feet of rock, it signals the end of your shift. You straighten up as much as the low ceiling allows, feeling your back crack in protest. Your hands are bleeding from small cuts and blisters. Your knees are raw. Every muscle aches. The journey out seems longer than the journey in. Your feet drag with fatigue. The weight of the mountain seems heavier somehow, pressing down on your shoulders, squeezing the air from your lungs. Nothing like those miners at Camp Creek who ride that rickety rail cart for 7 miles through the mountain on their daily commute, though even that would feel endless after a shift breaking coal. When you finally emerge from the mine, it's already dark again. You've spent the entire day without seeing the sun. Your eyes, adjusted to the dimness underground, still squint against the lights at the mine entrance. Outside, the air tastes impossibly sweet. However dirty it might be with coal smoke, it's cleaner than what you've been breathing all day. You gulp it down like water. The line for the wash house, if your mine has one, is long. Many mines don't have proper facilities, and miners go home black with coal dust. If you're lucky enough to have a wash house, you'll strip off your filthy clothes and stand under a shower of lukewarm water, watching as the water running off your body turns black, then grey, then finally clear. But it never gets all the coal out. It's in the creases of your skin, under your nails, in your hair, even in the corners of your eyes. Clean or not, you join the stream of miners heading back to the company houses. The walk back is slower than the walk there. Men limp from old injuries or new ones. They cough, the deep, rattling cough that signals the beginning of black lung disease. As you pass the company store, some men stop to spend their scrip. The prices are high, but there's nowhere else to shop. The company makes back much of what it pays in wages this way. Miners and their families call the company store the Pluck Me, because that's what it does, plucks them clean. Back at the company house, you might find your wife or mother has prepared a meal. It's simple food, beans, cornbread, maybe a little pork if times are good. You eat mechanically, too tired to even taste it. Children might be underfoot, but you barely notice them. All you can think about is sleep, and then doing it all again tomorrow. After dinner, you might sit on the porch if the house has one, smoking a pipe or cigarette, staring into the darkness. The other miners do the same. Sometimes there's talk about a close call in the mine, about which team is working the richest seam, about the union organisers who sometimes come to town, always run off by company guards. But mostly there's silence. The shared silence of men who have been to the underworld and returned, who know they have to go back again tomorrow. When you finally go to bed, sleep comes fast but isn't always restful. You might dream of being trapped, of the mountain falling in on you, of trying to breathe in air that's thick as water. You might wake up gasping, reaching for a light, any light, and when the whistle blows at 4:30 the next morning, you'll do it all again. This is the life of a coal miner in the early 1900s. This is the cost of the coal that powers factories, heats homes, drives the engines of industry. This is the human price of progress. You feel yourself settling deeper into your bed, your real bed in the present, the softness of your mattress, the clean air flowing into your lungs, the security of solid walls and a roof that won't collapse. You shift slightly, finding that perfect spot as your muscles relax, noticing how the darkness around you now feels safe, comforting, nothing like the oppressive darkness of a coal mine where outside the air tastes impossibly sweet. However dirty it might be with coal smoke, it's cleaner than what you've been breathing all day. You gulp it down like water, feeling your lungs expand fully for the first time in hours. The mine yard is busy with the change of shifts. Men coming off work trudge toward home while a fresh crew heads in. The massive wheels of the mine shaft turn continuously. Coal never sleeps. The demand is constant from factories, railroads, power plants, steel mills. Coal is king, and the king demands tribute every hour of every day. Near the mine entrance stands the tipple, a tall wooden structure where coal is sorted and loaded onto railroad cars. Coal rumbles down chutes, raising clouds of black dust that drift across the yard. The sorting process is crude but effective. Screens separate the coal by size, and sometimes boys are employed to pick out rocks and other impurities by hand. These breaker boys, some as young as 8, sit for 10 hours a day in the dust and noise, their fingers bleeding, their lungs filling with coal particles. The railroad tracks gleam dully in the lamplight. Once loaded, the coal cars will travel to cities hundreds of miles away, carrying the energy that powers the nation's growth. But here, at the source, the cost of that energy is measured in human lives. On your way back to the company house, you pass a group of men standing outside the company store. They're talking in low voices, glancing over their shoulders. Union organizers, maybe. The mining companies hate unions, and anyone caught talking to organizers might lose their job, their home, everything. But the unions promise better pay, safer conditions, some measure of control over your own life. It's a tempting dream. The company store is lit up, its windows displaying goods that most miners can only dream of affording. Inside, the shelves are stocked with everything from food to furniture, tools to toys, but the prices are always just a bit more than what you can afford on your wages. And since you're paid in scrip, company money, instead of US dollars, you can't shop anywhere else. The metal tokens jangle in your pocket as you walk past. They're stamped with the company's name and various denominations. Some have holes punched in the centre, like coins from some strange foreign country. And in a way, that's what the coal camp is. A little fiefdom with its own currency, its own laws, its own social order. You pass other miners heading home, all with the same exhausted shuffle, the same coal-blackened faces under their caps. You nod to each other, no words needed. The shared experience of the mine creates a brotherhood of sorts. You understand each other in ways outsiders never could. The company houses line the dirt street in identical rows, simple square buildings, unpainted, with sagging porches and thin walls, 4 rooms at most, a kitchen, a main room, and maybe 1 or 2 bedrooms. No indoor plumbing, of course. An outhouse stands behind each row of houses, and water comes from a communal pump at the end of the street. A group of children plays in the dirt, their clothes patched and faded, their faces smudged with coal dust that permeates everything in a mining town. They're playing with makeshift toys, sticks, rocks, empty cans. They look up as you pass, their eyes old in young faces. They know what awaits them when they turn 12 or 13. The boys will follow their fathers into the mines, the girls will marry miners and start the cycle again. At your company house, smoke rises from the chimney. If you're lucky enough to have a family, your wife will have kept the stove going, maybe have something warm waiting. If you're a bachelor, you might share quarters with other single men, taking turns with cooking duties or paying a local woman to prepare meals. Inside, the house is dimly lit by kerosene lamps. Electricity is rare in company towns, reserved for the mine operations and the homes of supervisors and company officials. The air is close, smelling of coal smoke, cooking, and too many people in too small a space. But after the mine, it feels like a palace. If you have a family, this is when you see them, your wife moving between stove and table, children underfoot. They've spent their day in their own kind of labour, hauling water, tending gardens if there's space, washing clothes that never come fully clean, stretching food to feed hungry mouths. Your wife might take in laundry or sewing to supplement your wages. The older children might have jobs too, running errands, helping at the company store, watching younger siblings. The meal is simple but filling. Beans simmered with a ham bone, cornbread, maybe some greens from the garden. You eat silently, too tired for conversation. The food tastes of coal dust, like everything else, but you're too hungry to care. You wash it down with water or coffee if there's any left. After dinner, if you're not too exhausted, there might be a moment of family life. Children show you a treasure found during the day, a coloured stone, a bird's feather. Your wife might mend clothes by lamplight while you smoke a pipe on the porch. These small, ordinary moments of humanity are precious in a life dominated by the mine. Sometimes there's news to share. Whose boy is old enough to start in the mines now? Whose husband didn't come up from the shaft today? Which family has been evicted for talking to union men? The community holds together through shared hardship, shared danger, shared grief. On Sundays, if you're religious, there's church. The company usually provides a building and sometimes pays the preacher's salary. The sermons often emphasize accepting your lot in life, being a good worker, not causing trouble. The message serves the company well, but there's comfort in the familiar rituals, the singing, the brief respite from labor. The mining company controls every aspect of life in the coal town. They own the land you live on, the house you sleep in, the store where you buy food. They employ the doctor who treats your injuries, the teacher who educates your children. They decide who can enter the town and who must leave. In many ways, it's like living in a small kingdom with the company as the absolute monarch. And like all monarchs, the company demands loyalty. Anyone suspected of union activities or other troublemaking is quickly dealt with, fired, evicted, sometimes beaten by company guards. In some coal towns, the company employs private police forces that operate outside the law, answerable only to mine owners. The system is designed to keep you dependent in debt with no way out. Your wages never quite cover your expenses at the company store. The scrip you're paid in can't be used anywhere else. If you try to leave, you might find that you owe the company more than you can pay back. It's a form of bondage dressed up as employment. But the worst bondage is fear. The constant fear of the mine itself. Every miner knows the dangers waiting below ground. Roof falls are the most common killer, thousands of pounds of rock suddenly giving way, crushing anyone beneath. There's no warning, no time to run. One moment you're working, the next you're gone, or worse, trapped under rock, slowly dying while your friends dig frantically to reach you. Then there's the gas, methane that seeps naturally from coal seams, odourless, invisible, highly explosive. A single spark can ignite it, sending a fireball racing through tunnels. Methane explosions are often followed by coal dust explosions as the initial blast stirs up dust that then ignites as well. The result is catastrophic. Men burned beyond recognition, tunnels collapsed, rescuers unable to reach the wounded. In the early days, miners carried canaries into the mines. The small birds were more sensitive to carbon monoxide and other toxic gases. If the canary died, it was time to evacuate. By 1910, more sophisticated safety lamps have been developed that can detect dangerous gas concentrations. But many mines still use the old methods. Ventilation is critical in underground mines. Fresh air must be constantly circulated to dilute methane and provide oxygen. Early mines used simple furnaces at the bottom of ventilation shafts to create updrafts. The heat from the furnace would cause air to rise up the shaft, drawing fresh air down the main shaft. It was a dangerous system, placing an open fire in a methane-rich environment, but often the only option. By the early 1900s, mechanical fans have begun to replace furnace ventilation, but many smaller operations still use the old methods. The fans are massive, powered by steam engines, turning huge paddle wheels that force air through the mine. When they break down, miners work in increasingly oxygen-poor, gas-rich air until repairs are made. Water is another constant threat. Underground streams and pockets of water can break through tunnel walls without warning, flooding sections of the mine. Miners have drowned, been trapped by rising water, or died of exposure while waiting for rescue in flooded tunnels. Every mine employs pumps to remove water, but they're not always adequate to the task. And then there's the silent killer, coal dust itself. With every swing of the pick, every cut of the machine, coal dust fills the air. Miners breathe it in, their lungs gradually turning black with accumulated particles. It leads to pneumoconiosis, black lung disease, a progressive, incurable condition that slowly suffocates its victims from the inside. The symptoms start small, a persistent cough, shortness of breath with exertion. Over years, they worsen. Breathing becomes increasingly difficult. Simple tasks like walking upstairs become impossible. In the final stages, victims can barely draw breath at all, gasping like fish out of water, their bodies starved for oxygen. There's no cure, only a slow, suffocating death. Many miners die young, in accidents, from disease, from bodies worn out by brutal labour. Those who survive to old age often can't enjoy their remaining years, too damaged by the work that sustained them. You see them around town, old men before their time, sitting motionless to conserve breath, their lungs too scarred to function properly. Yet despite all this, the danger, the exploitation, the disease, there's pride in the work. Miners know they're doing something essential, something few others could or would do. They're the foundation of industry, the source of the energy that powers modern life. Without them, the factories would fall silent, the cities would go dark. There's pride too in the skill of the work. A good miner develops an instinct for the mountain, learns to read the coal seam, knows by sound and feel when a roof is about to give way. They learn to work efficiently in cramped spaces, in poor light, under constant danger. It's a craft passed from father to son, a knowledge born of experience and necessity. And there's the camaraderie, the deep bond formed among men who depend on each other for survival. In the darkness of the mine, your life is in your fellow miners' hands, and theirs in yours. You watch out for each other, warn of dangers, share the work, rescue those in trouble. Many miners say they trust their workmates more than their own brothers. This brotherhood extends beyond the mine itself into the community. When disaster strikes, as it inevitably does, the entire town responds. Women prepare food for rescuers. Children run messages. Men who aren't on shift join rescue efforts. Everyone waits together, prays together, grieves together. It's this sense of community that sustains coal towns through the hardship. Despite the company's control, despite the danger and disease, despite the poverty, people create lives of meaning. They raise children, celebrate marriages, observe holidays, play music, tell stories. They find joy where they can. Music is especially important in mining communities. After work, miners might gather with fiddles, banjos, guitars, harmonicas, instruments small enough to keep in crowded company houses. The songs often reflect their lives, ballads of mining disasters, work songs with rhythms that match the swing of a pick, laments for lost companions. The music preserves their experiences, their struggles, their occasional triumphs. Religion offers comfort too. Faith provides hope of a better life beyond this one, a justice that may be denied on earth. Churches become centers of community life, places where miners and their families can gather without company supervision, where they can be more than just workers. Some mining towns develop baseball teams competing against other camps. The companies encourage this. It builds loyalty to the camp, provides distraction from hardship, and costs little to support. On summer Sundays, miners and their families might gather to watch games, briefly forgetting the mine and its dangers. For children, life in a coal town is a strange mix of freedom and limitation. They roam freely through the camp, playing in coal waste piles, exploring the edges of the mine yard, though strictly forbidden from entering the mine itself, but their futures are largely predetermined. Boys to the mines, girls to miners' wives. Education is basic at best. Company schools teach reading, writing, arithmetic, enough to function as workers, but not enough to imagine different lives. Many children leave school by 12 or 13, drawn by the need for additional income. A boy starting as a breaker or doorboy might earn a few cents a day, a significant addition to a family's resources. And all the while, the mine dominates everything. Physically, economically, psychologically, it's visible from every point in town. Its tall structures silhouetted against the sky. Its whistle marks the passage of time. Its demands determine when you wake, when you sleep, how you spend your days. Its dangers shape your fears, its diseases your health, its wages your possibilities. Tonight, though, you're safe. You've survived another day in the mine. You're home with food in your belly and a roof over your head. Tomorrow's dangers can wait until tomorrow. As you get ready for sleep, you go through the rituals that every miner knows. Check your hands for cuts that might fester. Rub lard or petroleum jelly into cracked skin. Wash coal dust from eyes and ears. Hang tomorrow's clothes so they'll be ready before dawn. Set out your lunch pail for filling. Your body aches with fatigue, muscles sore from hours of labour. You settle onto your thin mattress, feeling each individual spring through the worn fabric. The house creaks around you as others prepare for sleep. Outside, the last shift is making its way to the mine. The mountain never rests, the work never stops. But for now, you can rest. You feel your body sinking into the mattress, heavy with exhaustion. Your breathing slows. The tension in your muscles begins to ease, bit by bit. You shift slightly, finding a more comfortable position. The sounds around you fade as your awareness turns inward. Your thoughts drift, becoming less distinct. You're aware of the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath. For this moment, the mine seems far away. The dangers of tomorrow recede. You feel a spreading warmth as your muscles continue to relax, settling deeper into that space between wakefulness and sleep. Your breathing deepens, becomes more regular. The room around you fades further. You're floating now, suspended in that peaceful place where the body is at rest, but the mind still holds the last threads of consciousness. The worries of the day dissolve, replaced by a gentle emptiness. As you continue to drift, your thoughts become more fragmented, less coherent. Images float through your mind, the glint of coal in lamplight, the sound of picks striking stone, the taste of fresh air after hours underground, but they pass without holding your attention, like clouds across the sky. Your limbs grow heavier, your awareness shrinking to just the rise and fall of your chest, the slow beating of your heart. The world outside recedes further, the noise of the mining town fading to nothing. Nice and easy, that's it, just breathing. You shift once more, settling deeper, finding that perfect spot where the mattress cradles your tired body just right. The last tension melts from your shoulders, your back, your legs. Everything feels soft, distant. The darkness behind your eyelids is complete, comforting, just like the darkness of the mine, but safe, controlled. Morning comes too soon. The whistle pierces your dreams, dragging you back to consciousness. For a moment, you're disoriented. Where are you? Then reality settles back in. Another day, another descent into the mountain. Your body protests as you rise, muscles stiff from yesterday's labor, joints creaking like old hinges. You're not old, maybe 30, but the mine ages a body fast. You've seen men of 40 who look 60, bent and broken by years underground. Outside, the sky is still dark. Stars fade as the first hint of dawn touches the eastern horizon. The air is cool on your face as you join the stream of men moving toward the mine entrance. Same as yesterday, same as tomorrow will be. Today, you'll be working a new section, deeper in the mountain. The coal seam you were working yesterday has been mostly extracted, and the mine is constantly pushing further in, following the rich veins of black gold that fuel America's growth. The descent feels longer today. The cage, a simple metal platform suspended by cables, sways slightly as it drops into darkness. Men press against you on all sides, their breath fogging in the cool air. No one speaks. What is there to say that hasn't been said 1,000 times before? At the bottom, you step out into the main tunnel, a high, wide passage reinforced with heavy timbers. This is the artery of the mine, where coal cars run on narrow rails, carrying the mountain's riches to the surface. Side tunnels branch off like veins, leading to the working faces, where miners extract the coal. Today you're assigned to a section nearly a mile from the main shaft. It's a long walk through progressively smaller tunnels. As you move deeper into the mountain, the ceiling gets lower, forcing you to stoop, then crouch, and finally to move in an awkward duck walk. The support timbers get smaller too, less substantial. You try not to think about the millions of tons of rock pressing down above you, held back by these spindly wooden legs. The air gets thicker, harder to breathe. Ventilation is always poorest at the furthest working faces. The fans struggle to push fresh air this deep. What reaches you is warm, humid, dust-filled, like breathing through a wet cloth. Your headlamp cuts a weak cone of light through the gloom, catching dust motes that dance in the beam. Today you're working with a partner, an older miner named John, who's been underground for 20 years. His face is permanently blackened, coal dust embedded in the creases of his skin like tattoo ink. His breathing is laboured even at rest, the early stages of black lung disease that will eventually kill him if a roof fall or explosion doesn't get him first. "Bad air today," he comments as you reach your section. It's the most he's said all morning. Miners aren't known for wasting words. You nod in agreement, already feeling the heaviness in your lungs, the slight dizziness that comes from oxygen deprivation. The coal face waits for you, a wall of black, glinting dully in your lamplight. Above it, the roof of the tunnel is supported by timbers set at regular intervals. Between them, you can see the layers of rock, sandstone, shale, more coal. You study it carefully, looking for signs of weakness, cracks, the telltale sagging that precedes a collapse. The mountain speaks if you know how to listen. Ignoring its warnings can be fatal. Your tools are simple. A pick with a wooden handle worn smooth by years of use, a shovel, a pry bar for loosening stubborn chunks of coal. No fancy cutting machines in this section. It's too narrow, too remote. Just men and metal against the mountain. John takes the right side, you take the left. You swing your pick in a practiced rhythm, striking at the base of the coal face, undercutting it. The work requires skill. Hit too high and the coal won't break properly. Too low and you're wasting energy on the harder rock below the seam. Each strike sends a jolt up your arms, into your shoulders. The pick bites into the coal, creating small cracks that spread with repeated blows. Coal dust fills the air around you, settling on your skin, your clothes, in your lungs. You breathe through your nose, trying to filter out the worst of it. Some miners tie bandanas over their faces, but most don't bother. It helps, but not enough to matter in the long run. After undercutting the face, you move to drilling holes for blasting. The hand drill is a steel rod with a star-shaped bit. You position it against the coal face and strike the end with a hammer, turning it slightly between blows. It's slow, exhausting work, made worse by having to hold your arms above your head. Sweat runs down your face, your back, soaking your clothes. The temperature in deep mines can reach 90 degrees or more, and the humidity is oppressive. Your body's trying to cool itself, but in this environment, sweating does little good. The moisture just sits on your skin, unable to evaporate in the saturated air. Once the holes are drilled, it's time for explosives. This is dangerous work, requiring care and experience. The black powder charges must be placed just right, too weak and they won't break enough coal, too strong and they might cause a roof collapse or ignite coal dust or methane gas. Everyone moves back a safe distance while the shot firer sets the charges. He's a specialist, paid a little extra for this hazardous duty. He carefully places the charges, connects the fuses, then calls out the warning, "Fire in the hole." The phrase echoes down the tunnel as miners take cover. The explosion is muffled by distance, but you feel it in your bones, a deep rumble that seems to come from the earth itself. Then silence, broken only by the soft patter of dislodged coal and rock settling. Dust hangs in the air, so thick you can barely see your lamp's beam through it. When it clears enough to work, you return to the face. The blast has done its job, breaking the coal into manageable chunks. Now comes the loading, shoveling the loose coal into carts or onto conveyor belts. This is the most physically demanding part of the job. Hour after hour of lifting, swinging, dumping. Your back screams in protest, but you push through the pain. There's a quota to meet, and falling short means less pay. The mine has its own soundtrack, the rhythmic chink of picks, the grating scrape of shovels, the rumble of coal cars, the creaking of timber supports as they take the weight of the mountain, and underneath it all, the mine itself, groaning, shifting, occasionally letting loose small falls of rock as a reminder of its power. Communication is minimal. Experienced miners develop a kind of shorthand using gestures, nods, short phrases. Words are precious things down here, not to be wasted. Besides, in the noise and dust, with everyone wearing headlamps that blind you when they look your way, talking isn't always practical. The hours blur together. There's no natural light to mark the passage of time, no change in temperature or conditions, just the endless cycle of cutting, loading, advancing. The only clock is your body's increasing exhaustion and the emptying of your water bottle. Lunch is a brief respite. You find a relatively clean spot to sit, backs against the tunnel wall, knees drawn up to make room for others to pass. The food is simple. Biscuits, jerky, maybe an apple or some pickles. Everything tastes of coal dust. John doesn't talk much during lunch either, but today, he seems in a reminiscing mood. Been down here 22 years, he says between bites. Started when I was 12. Trapper boy. Trapper boys were the youngest miners, responsible for opening and closing ventilation doors as coal cars passed through. They sat alone in the dark for 10 or 12 hours a day, feeling their way to the door when they heard a car approaching, then closing it again after it passed. It was lonely, frightening work for a child, but it paid a few cents a day to help support their families. Never thought I'd still be here, John continues, his voice rough from years of coal dust. Thought I'd save up, buy a farm maybe. He doesn't need to explain why that dream never materialized. The company store, the script system, the endless cycle of debt. They're designed to keep miners in the mines. After lunch, it's back to the face. The afternoon drags, your movements becoming slower, more mechanical as fatigue sets in. Your water is gone, your throat parched. The air seems thicker, harder to breathe. Your headlamp, once bright, now casts a yellowish, fading light as the battery weakens. Around mid-afternoon, you hear a sound that makes every miner's blood run cold. A sharp crack from the roof, like a rifle shot. Everyone freezes, eyes darting upward. Another crack, then a slow, ominous creaking. Without a word, you all move back from the face, watching the ceiling. A small shower of rock and dust falls near the far support timber, then nothing. After a few minutes of tense silence, the foreman approaches cautiously, testing the roof with a long pole. It holds, just a warning this time, the mountain letting you know it's there, that your presence is tolerated, not welcomed. Work resumes, but the mood has changed. Everyone moves with more caution, eyes checking the roof more frequently. The mountain has reminded you of its power, and you'd be a fool to forget. As the shift wears on, the dangers multiply. Fatigue makes you clumsy, less attentive. The air quality deteriorates as dust accumulates and ventilation struggles to keep up. Support timbers, damp with mine water and stressed by the mountain's weight, can fail without warning. And always, there's the threat of gas. Methane seeps constantly from coal seams, odourless, invisible, highly explosive. Carbon monoxide, equally undetectable without special equipment, can build up in poorly ventilated areas, causing headaches, dizziness, and eventually death. Old-timers tell stories of entire crews found dead, looking as if they'd simply fallen asleep at their posts. The large mines have safety inspectors who check gas levels, but in smaller operations, miners often rely on more primitive methods. Some bring small animals, mice or canaries, whose faster metabolism makes them more sensitive to bad air. If the animal shows distress or dies, it's time to evacuate. It's a crude system, but it's saved countless lives. Modern mines today have remote methane monitors, electronic ventilation systems, roof supports made of hydraulic steel instead of timber. They have emergency shelters with air supplies where miners can wait for rescue. They have sophisticated communication systems that work even after explosions or cave-ins. But in 1910, the technology is rudimentary at best. Safety depends more on the miner's intuition, experience, and sometimes just plain luck. You learn to read the mountain, the sounds it makes, the feel of the air, the behavior of the rock. You develop a sixth sense for danger, and you listen to it, or you don't survive. Late in the day, you're working near John when you notice his breathing has become more laboured. His movements are slow, his face pale beneath the coal dust. You recognise the signs. He's suffering from the bad air. Without a word, you take over his portion of the work, signalling him to rest. He nods gratefully, slumping against the wall. This is the miner's code. You look out for each other. Underground, petty differences disappear. It doesn't matter if a man is white or black, American or immigrant, skilled or unskilled. What matters is that he's reliable, that he does his share, that he watches your back as you watch his. In the face of the mountain's indifferent power, human divisions seem trivial. The whistle that signals the end of the shift is muffled by distance but still audible. 3 long blasts that mean freedom, at least until tomorrow. You help John to his feet, gathering his tools along with your own. The walk back to the main shaft seems even longer than the walk in. Your legs leaden with fatigue, your lungs burning from the dust and poor air. At the main tunnel, you join the stream of miners heading for the cage. Men lean on each other, too tired for conversation. Their faces are identical masks of exhaustion and coal dust, distinguishable only by the whites of their eyes and the flash of teeth when they occasionally speak. The cage rises slowly, swaying slightly on its cables. As it nears the surface, you feel the first breath of fresh air from above. Cool, sweet, impossibly pure after the stale atmosphere of the mine. Men straighten slightly, revived by it. The first glimpse of daylight, even the dim light of dusk, seems painfully bright after hours in the dark. And then you're up, stepping off the cage onto solid ground. The transition is always jarring, from the confinement of the tunnels to the open sky, from darkness to light, from danger to relative safety. For a moment, you just stand there, blinking in the fading daylight, breathing deeply, letting the tension drain from your shoulders. The mine yard is busy with the change of shifts, your crew leaving, the night shift arriving. The continuous miners of the future will eventually make night shifts less common, but in 1910, the work continues around the clock. Coal doesn't care about the human need for daylight or rest. In the wash house, if your mine has one, you strip off filthy clothes and stand under a shower of lukewarm water. The coal dust runs off in black rivulets, swirling down drains. It never all comes off. After years in the mines, coal becomes part of you, ingrained in the creases of your skin, embedded in scars, packed into the tissue of your lungs. Clean or not, you dress in slightly less dirty clothes for the walk home. Your work clothes will be washed by your wife if you have one, or at a company laundry if you don't, but they'll never be truly clean again. Coal stains permanently. Outside the mine buildings, you help John toward his house. His breathing is still laboured, and he leans heavily on your shoulder. His wife meets you at the door, her face a mixture of concern and resignation. She's seen this before, knows what it means. The black lung is getting worse. Eventually it will kill him, but for now, a night's rest might help. "Thank you," she says simply as you transfer John's weight to her. No more words are needed. This is the reality of mining life. Today, you help John home. Tomorrow, someone may help you. The community sustains itself through mutual aid and shared understanding. At your own house, if you're lucky enough to have a family, your wife has dinner waiting, more beans, more cornbread, maybe some potatoes or salt pork if times are good. Children quiet their play as you enter, sensitive to your exhaustion. They've learned early that after a shift, father needs peace, rest, gentle handling. You eat mechanically, too tired to taste the food. Your wife watches anxiously, noting how much or little you consume, how laboured your breathing is, whether you're moving stiffly from injury or just normal fatigue. She doesn't ask about the mine, doesn't need to. The day's events are written in your posture, your expression, the new cuts and bruises on your hands. After dinner, you might sit on the porch if the weather is good, smoking a pipe or cigarette, watching as the mining town settles into evening. Children are called in, lamps are lit in windows. The noise of the mine, ever present during the day, seems to recede slightly, though it never fully stops. Other miners sit on other porches, equally silent, equally exhausted. Occasionally, someone might strum a guitar or pick a banjo, the music floating through the twilight. Songs about the mine, about loss, about the dreams that brought men to this hard place, and the reality that keeps them here. In the distance, the mountain looms, both provider and predator, source of livelihood and death. Its presence is constant, inescapable. Even when you're not in the mine is in you, in your lungs, your muscles, your dreams. As darkness falls completely, you head inside. Your body craves sleep, but your mind may not cooperate. Many miners suffer from nightmares, buried alive, trapped by fire, lost in endless tunnels. Some drink to quiet these fears, though alcohol brings its own problems. Others find comfort in religion, in family, in the small pleasures available even in a company town. You prepare for bed with the same rituals as the night before, washing as best you can, treating cuts and blisters, setting out clothes for tomorrow. The day has a rhythm, a pattern that provides structure, if not comfort. As you lie down, every muscle in your body aches. The thin mattress offers little cushioning for bones and joints abused by the day's labour. But exhaustion is a powerful sedative, and sleep comes quickly despite the discomfort. Tomorrow will be the same. The early whistle, the dark descent, the endless battle with the mountain, and the next day, and the next. The calendar becomes meaningless when every day is identical. Only Sundays offer respite, and even then there's the shadow of Monday morning hanging over the brief freedom. This is the reality of coal mining in the early 20th century. Brutal, dangerous, exploitative, yet it's also the foundation of American industrial might. The coal these men extract powers factories, heats homes, drives locomotives, forges steel. The modern world is built on their backs, their lungs, their lives. In later decades, things will improve somewhat. Safety regulations will reduce fatalities. Mechanization will ease some of the physical burden. Unions will fight for better wages, better conditions, more control. The company store system will gradually disappear. But the essential nature of mining remains unchanged. Men going underground to extract the Earth's resources, always at risk, always at the mountain's mercy. Even today, with all our technology and safety measures, mining remains one of the most dangerous occupations. For now, though, in 1910, you sleep the sleep of the utterly exhausted, your body surrendering to fatigue despite discomfort and worry. You're one of the lucky ones. You came up from the mine today. Tomorrow is another gamble, another day of beating the odds. As you drift into deeper sleep, your breathing slows and deepens. The tension in your muscles gradually releases. Your body feels heavy, sinking into the mattress. The sounds of the mining town fade. The last shift change, distant machinery, occasional voices. You're floating now, suspended between consciousness and dreams. Your mind lets go of the day's fears and troubles. The dangers waiting tomorrow seem distant, less threatening. For this moment, you're safe, protected, at peace. Your breathing becomes even more regular, deeper. Your limbs feel pleasantly warm and heavy. Thoughts scatter like leaves in a gentle breeze. You shift slightly, finding a more comfortable position, settling deeper into that perfect spot where your body can truly rest. Everything feels soft now, even the thin mattress with its protruding springs. The darkness behind your eyelids is complete, comforting. Your awareness shrinks to just this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. The last threads of consciousness begin to unravel as sleep pulls you deeper. You're vaguely aware of your chest rising and falling, the slight weight of the blanket, the distant sounds of the mining town settling for the night. But these sensations are fading, becoming less distinct as sleep claims you completely. Your muscles relax further, releasing the last hold of tension. Your jaw softens, your hands uncurl. Everything feels warm, heavy, peaceful. Just breathing, nice and easy, settling deeper with each breath as the mining town grows quiet and the mountain stands sentinel over its sleeping children who... The days blend together in the rhythm of the mine, the early whistle, the dark descent, the hours of labour, the ascent back to daylight. 1 week becomes 2, becomes a month, a year, a lifetime. The seasons change above ground, but in the mine it's always the same. Dark, damp, dangerous. But today is different. Today, as you make the familiar walk to the mine entrance, there's tension in the air. Men talk in low voices, glancing over their shoulders. Company guards are more visible than usual, shotguns cradled in their arms, eyes watchful under the brims of their hats. Union organisers have been in the camp. They came under cover of darkness, held meetings in the woods beyond the company's property. They spoke of better wages, safer conditions, shorter hours, dreams that seem impossible in the iron grip of the company town, but dreams that take root in the fertile soil of discontent. The company knows. It always knows. Informers are everywhere, paid in extra scrip or better housing to report on their fellow miners, and the company's response is always the same. Threats, intimidation, sometimes violence. Union men are troublemakers, outside agitators, enemies of the natural order. As you approach the mine entrance, you see a group of miners gathered around the notice board. A new sign has been posted overnight. The words are simple, direct. Any employee found discussing union activities will be immediately terminated and evicted from company housing. The message is clear. Join the union, lose everything. In a company town, that's no small threat. There are no other jobs nearby, no other housing. To be evicted means to be homeless, jobless, possibly blacklisted from other mines in the region. For a family man, it's a sentence of destitution. Yet the whispers continue. Men have had enough. Enough of the danger, the exploitation, the script system that keeps them forever in debt. Something has to change. The question is, who will risk being the first to stand up? Inside the mine, the work goes on as usual, but conversations cease when the foreman or company men pass by. There's a current of electricity running through the dark tunnels, a sense that something is building. You feel it as you swing your pick, as you load coal, as you timber new sections. Your section today is working a particularly rich seam, the coal coming away in satisfying chunks, but the roof is unstable. You can hear it creaking, feel the subtle shifting of the mountain above. The support timbers bend slightly under the weight, the wood groaning in protest. The foreman has been pushing for more production, ignoring the warning signs. Quotas must be met, schedules maintained. The company's contracts with railroads and steel mills demand a steady supply of coal, and those demands filter down to the men at the face. You place another timber, wedging it tight against the ceiling. It's not enough. The proper procedure would be to place steel supports here, or at least double timber the section. But steel is expensive, and extra timber takes time. The foreman waves away your concerns. It'll hold. Keep digging. Around mid-morning, it happens. First a crack, sharp, like a gunshot. Then another, louder. The ceiling begins to sag visibly. "Get out!" someone shouts, and everyone scrambles away from the face, tools abandoned. The collapse, when it comes, is both frighteningly fast and eerily slow. The roof seems to bulge downward, as if made of cloth rather than stone. Support timbers snap like twigs. Then thousands of pounds of rock and coal come crashing down, raising a cloud of dust that blinds everyone in the vicinity. When the dust begins to settle, the damage is clear. The entire section has collapsed, burying tools, equipment, and very nearly men. If the warning signs had been ignored a few minutes longer, you'd all be under that pile of rubble. The foreman looks shaken, his face pale beneath the coal dust. He knows how close it was, knows that his decision to keep mining nearly cost lives, but he also knows what the company expects. "Get your tools," he says after a moment. "We'll move to Section 4. This is the reality of mining. Danger constantly balanced against production, safety measures viewed as costly impediments rather than necessary precautions. The mountain gives warnings, but economics demands they be ignored. Section 4 is an older part of the mine, partially worked out, but still with some good coal left in the pillars. In room and pillar mining, coal is extracted in a checkerboard pattern, leaving pillars of coal to support the roof. Once a section is completely developed, miners sometimes go back and extract those pillars too, carefully controlling the roof collapse as they retreat. It's called robbing pillars, and it's among the most dangerous work in mining. Without the supporting pillars, the roof will inevitably collapse. The trick is to remove them in the right order, working backward toward the exit, staying just ahead of the cave-in. Miscalculate and you're buried alive. Today, you're not robbing pillars, just extracting more coal from the remaining ones. But even this is hazardous. The pillars have been taking the weight of the mountain for months or years, becoming compressed, sometimes developing cracks. Disturb them too much, and they can fail catastrophically. The work proceeds cautiously. Everyone is on edge after the morning's roof fall. Eyes constantly check the ceiling, ears alert for the telltale cracking that precedes collapse. The mine feels more oppressive than usual, the air thicker, the darkness deeper. At lunch, sitting with your back against a coal pillar, you notice an older miner, Peter, a Slovak immigrant who's been working this mine for 15 years, making a small mark on the timber nearest him. It's a simple symbol, quickly drawn with a piece of chalk. You've seen similar marks throughout the mine, but never thought much about them. "What's that?" you ask, gesturing with your chin toward the mark. Peter glances around before answering, making sure no company men are within earshot. "Protection," he says simply, his accent still thick despite his years in America. Mining is full of superstitions, protective rituals brought from the old countries or developed in the isolation of the tunnels. Some miners refuse to wash on the day they go underground, believing it invites disaster. Others won't enter the mine if they see a woman on the way to work. Many carry lucky charms, coins, stones, religious medals. The marks, Peter explains, are part of this tradition, symbols believed to protect against cave-ins, gas, flooding, all the myriad dangers of the underworld. Different ethnic groups have different symbols, different rituals, but the purpose is the same, to exercise some control, however symbolic, over an environment where control is largely an illusion. These folk practices exist alongside official safety measures and often outlast them. When technology fails, when company regulations prove inadequate, miners fall back on older forms of protection. It's a reminder that mining isn't just a technical challenge, but a cultural one, shaped by tradition, by beliefs, by the human need for meaning in the face of danger. After lunch, work resumes. The afternoon drags on, each hour feeling longer than the last. Your body aches from the morning's exertion, and the air seems thinner than usual. The ventilation in this older section isn't as good as in the newer tunnels, and the dust hangs heavy, reducing visibility and making breathing difficult. You're working alongside a younger miner, barely more than a boy, really, maybe 16 or 17. He's strong but inexperienced, still learning the subtle signs that experienced miners read instinctively. You find yourself watching him, correcting his technique, warning him when he gets too close to unstable areas. This is how mining knowledge is transmitted, from older workers to younger ones, a practical education in survival. Formal training is minimal or non-existent. Instead, new miners learn by watching, by doing, by making mistakes, hopefully small ones, and being corrected. It's a system that has evolved over centuries, a kind of apprenticeship in the art of extracting coal while staying alive. The boy is eager, working hard to prove himself, but eagerness can be dangerous underground. It leads to rushing, to cutting corners, to missing warning signs. You caution him to slow down, to pay attention to the mountain, to respect its power. The coal's been down there for millions of years, you tell him, repeating what an older miner once told you. It ain't going nowhere. Take your time, do it right. He nods, chastened but grateful for the advice. You recognize something of yourself in him, the same desire to prove worthy, to be accepted as a real miner, to earn the respect of the men who daily risk their lives alongside you. Mining creates a unique brotherhood, a bond forged in darkness and danger. Race, religion, nationality, these distinctions that matter so much on the surface fade underground. What matters is whether a man pulls his weight, whether he watches out for his fellows, whether he can be trusted when things go wrong. And things do go wrong with a frequency that would shock outsiders. Small injuries are so common they're barely noted. Cuts, bruises, minor burns, sprains. More serious injuries, broken bones, crushed fingers, deep lacerations are regular occurrences. And then there are the catastrophic events, explosions, major cave-ins, floods that can claim dozens of lives at once. Today, thankfully, passes without serious incident. The near miss in the morning has made everyone more cautious, more attentive. Even the foreman, usually focused solely on production, seems subdued, less insistent on pushing the pace. As the shift nears its end, you help the boy collect his tools, showing him how to check and maintain them properly. Tools are a miner's lifeline. A sharp pick, a sturdy shovel, a reliable lamp can make the difference between life and death. Many miners develop almost superstitious attachments to particular tools, believing they bring luck or protection. The walk back to the main shaft is slow. Bodies tired from the day's labour. The boy walks beside you, asking questions about different aspects of mining. How to tell when a roof is about to give way, how to test for gas, how to set timbers for maximum support. You answer patiently, remembering your own early days and the miners who took time to teach you. At the shaft, waiting for the cage to take you up, you notice company men talking to miners one by one, pulling them aside for brief conversations. Their expressions are serious, their manner intimidating. It doesn't take long to figure out what's happening. They're asking about the union meeting, trying to identify who attended. When your turn comes, the company man is direct. Were you in the woods last night? At the meeting? You keep your face neutral, your voice steady. No, sir, was at home with my family. It's the truth. You didn't attend, though not out of loyalty to the company. You have a wife, children. You can't risk their security. Not yet. Not until the union has more support, more protection to offer. The company man studies your face, looking for signs of deception. Finally, he nods, making a note in a small book. See that you stay home tonight too. There's troublemakers around trying to stir up decent men. Company takes care of its own. Don't need no outside interference. You nod, saying nothing. The company's definition of taking care differs significantly from yours, but this isn't the time or place for that discussion. You move on to the cage, joining the other miners for the ascent. Rising toward the surface, the cage sways slightly on its cables. Men stand shoulder to shoulder, silent after the long shift. Some close their eyes, already half asleep on their feet. Others stare upward, watching the circle of daylight grow larger as the cage ascends. Emerging into the late afternoon light, you blink against the sudden brightness. After hours in the dark, even the muted light of a cloudy day seems brilliant. Your eyes water, adjusting slowly. The mine yard comes into focus. The tipple where coal is sorted and loaded. The railroad tracks leading away toward distant cities. The office buildings where company men work in relative comfort and safety. You notice more guards than usual, positioned strategically around the yard. Some are company men, others look like county deputies or private detectives hired specifically to deal with union activity. Their presence is a reminder of the company's power, its determination to maintain control over its workers and its town. Walking home, you pass the company store. A sign in the window announces a special sale on winter coats, payable in scrip, of course, at prices that will ensure miners remain in debt. A small group of women stand outside, examining the display with longing. Winter is coming, and children need warm clothes regardless of the cost. The scrip system is one of the most effective tools of control in the company town. By paying in company currency rather than US dollars, the mine owners ensure that miners can only shop at the company store, where prices are set to maximize profit. It's a closed economic loop, with all advantage on the company's side. Some miners try to convert scrip to cash, selling it to outsiders at a steep discount, often 60 or 70 cents on the dollar, but the company works hard to prevent this, marking scrip with miners' names or numbers, changing designs frequently, punishing those caught trading it. The goal is to keep miners dependent, indebted, without options. As you approach your company house, you notice a cluster of people around one of the nearby houses. Drawing closer, you see men loading furniture onto a wagon. A woman stands nearby, crying quietly, children clinging to her skirts. An eviction, someone has run afoul of company rules, fallen too far behind on payments, or perhaps been identified as a union sympathizer. The sight is a stark reminder of your precarious position. Everything you have, your home, your job, your community, exists at the company's pleasure and can be taken away at a moment's notice. It's a system designed to foster insecurity, compliance, gratitude for even the most basic necessities. Inside your own house, if you're fortunate enough to have a family, you find your wife preparing the evening meal. The smell of cooking fills the small space. Beans simmering with a ham bone, cornbread baking in the oven. Simple food, but filling, sustaining after a day in the mine. Your children greet you with a mixture of joy and caution, happy to see their father but careful not to be too boisterous, knowing your need for peace after the long shift. They've learned early to modulate their behavior around a miner's exhaustion, a miner's moods. As you wash up for dinner, your wife tells you about her day, the laundry she took in from the superintendent's family for extra money, the garden she's tending in hopes of fresh vegetables to supplement the family diet, the news and gossip from other miners' wives. Her work is different from yours, but no less demanding. Maintaining a home in a company town requires ingenuity, thrift, endless labour. Over dinner, conversation turns to the union activity, the increased company surveillance, the morning's roof fall. Your wife listens with concern, but without surprise. She's a miner's wife. She knows the dangers, the exploitation, the constant struggle for dignity. She may fear the consequences of union involvement, but she understands the need for change. After the meal, sitting on the porch in the gathering dusk, you hear singing from the direction of the woods beyond the company property. The union meeting is going ahead despite the company's threats. The voices rise and fall, carried on the evening breeze. Hymns repurposed as labour songs, old folk tunes with new defiant lyrics. Which side are you on? The question that every miner must eventually answer. In your rocking chair, pipe smoke curling around your head, you consider that question. The choice isn't as simple as it might seem to outsiders. It's not just about better conditions or higher wages, though those are certainly important. It's about power. Who has it, who doesn't, how it's exercised. It's about dignity, respect, the right to some control over your own life and labour. The modern mining industry will eventually be transformed by technology, continuous miners that can extract tons of coal in minutes, long wall machines that can harvest entire seams in one operation, ventilation systems that make the air breathable even in the deepest tunnels. Safety will improve with the introduction of roof bolting, methane detectors, better lighting, communication systems that work even after disasters. But the fundamental relationship between workers and employers, between human beings and the earth they extract resources from, remains complex, often contentious. The history of mining is as much a social and political history as a technological one, shaped by struggles for power, for safety, for fair compensation. As darkness falls completely, you head inside. Your body aches from the day's labour, muscles protesting even simple movements. Your lungs feel heavy, congested with coal dust that no amount of coughing will fully clear. These are the miner's burdens, the physical price paid for working underground. You prepare for bed with the familiar rituals, washing away as much coal dust as possible, treating cuts and blisters, setting out clothes for tomorrow's shift. The routine brings a measure of control, of normalcy, to a life that is always at the mercy of forces beyond your control. The company, the mountain, the market for coal. Lying down, you feel the thin mattress yield reluctantly to your weight. Springs press against your back, your shoulders, your hips. The blanket is rough against your skin. From outside comes the distant sound of the mine. The operation never fully stops, shifts working around the clock to meet the nation's insatiable demand for coal. Your wife joins you, her warmth a comfort in the darkness. Her breathing slows as she quickly falls asleep, exhausted from her own day of labour. Children's soft breathing comes from the other room. The next generation of a mining family, their futures likely already determined by their birth in this company town. Sleep comes more slowly for you, mind still active despite bodily fatigue. Images from the day replay, the roof collapse, the company men questioning miners, the evicted family loading their meagre possessions onto a wagon, and underneath these immediate concerns, the larger questions. How long can you continue this work? What toll will it take on your body, your mind, your family? What alternatives exist in a world where your skills, your experience, your very identity are tied to the mine? But eventually, exhaustion overcomes even these persistent thoughts. Your breathing deepens, your muscles begin to relax despite the discomfort of the bed. The day's tensions start to ease, replaced by the heavy softness of approaching sleep. Your awareness narrows to just the rise and fall of your chest, the slow beating of your heart. The mine seems farther away now, its dangers less immediate. Your body feels heavy, sinking into the mattress. Your limbs grow warm, pleasantly weighed down, as if gravity has increased slightly. The sounds of the mining town fade, the distant machinery, occasional voices, a dog barking somewhere down the street. Your breathing becomes more regular, deeper. The space between thoughts grows larger, the thoughts themselves less distinct, more dreamlike. You shift slightly, finding a more comfortable position. The mattress seems to soften beneath you, moulding to your shape. The blanket's roughness is forgotten as your skin grows less sensitive, your nerves quieting after the day's constant alerts. Everything feels slower now, gentler. Your eyelids are heavy, the darkness behind them complete. Your jaw relaxes, your hands uncurl. The last tension melts from your shoulders, your back, your legs. Just breathing, nice and easy, in and out. Your awareness continues to soften, to blur at the edges. You're floating now, suspended in that peaceful place between wakefulness and sleep. The worries of the day have dissolved, replaced by a gentle emptiness. Your body feels both heavy and weightless, grounded yet drifting. The day's events, the mine, the danger, the company's watchful eyes all seem distant now, less important. What matters is this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. Your chest rises and falls in a steady rhythm, your muscles completely relaxed. You shift once more, settling deeper into that perfect spot where everything feels just right as the mining town grows quiet and the mountain keeps its ancient vigil over those who dare to. Morning comes, as it always does, with the shrill cry of the mine whistle. The sound penetrates walls, windows, dreams, dragging miners from sleep with its insistent demand. Another day, another descent, but today is different. As you join the stream of men walking toward the mine entrance, there's a strange energy in the air. Men walk in tight groups, talking in low voices. Some carry signs hastily painted on scrap wood. Union organizers move among the crowd, directing, encouraging. Today is the day. The strike has begun. It didn't happen suddenly. Tensions have been building for months, years really. The dangerous conditions, the poor pay, the script system, the company's iron control over every aspect of miners' lives, all of it creating a pressure that had to find release eventually. The final spark came last night. Company guards broke up the union meeting in the woods, beating several miners badly. One man, an Italian immigrant with 5 young children, was shot, though not fatally. The news spread through the camp like wildfire, turning simmering resentment into open defiance. Now, instead of entering the mine, the men gather before it, hundreds of miners standing shoulder to shoulder in the early morning light. Their faces are grim, determined. Many are afraid. They know the risks, the potential consequences, but they're more afraid of continuing as they have been, watching friends die in preventable accidents, seeing their children go hungry while the company profits. The company's response is swift. Guards emerge from the mine offices, armed with clubs and shotguns. Behind them come the mine superintendent and several company officials from the city. Their expressions show a mixture of anger and disbelief. They didn't think the miners would actually dare to strike. The superintendent steps forward, raising his hands for silence. The crowd quiets, waiting. "This is an illegal assembly," he shouts, his voice carrying across the mine yard. "Any man not at his post in 10 minutes will be considered terminated. You will lose your jobs, your homes, everything." He pauses, letting the threat sink in. "Think of your families," he continues, his voice softening slightly, taking on a paternalistic tone. "The company has always taken care of its people. These outside agitators don't care about you. They'll be gone tomorrow, but the company will still be here. No some. Mo." For a moment, uncertainty ripples through the crowd. The threat is real and immediate. To lose your job in a mining town is to lose everything. Home, community, the ability to feed your family. Many of the miners have never known any other work, any other life. Then a voice calls out from the back of the crowd, strong, clear, unafraid. "We ain't asking for charity. We're asking for what's right. Safe working conditions, fair pay and real money, not scrip. Respect for the men who risk their lives every day to dig your coal." The speaker pushes forward through the crowd. It's John, the older miner with black lung disease who you helped home just days ago. His breathing is laboured, his face pale beneath the permanent layer of coal dust, but his eyes are bright with purpose. "Look at me," he continues, addressing not just the superintendent but all the assembled miners. 22 years in the mines gave my health, my strength, my youth to this company, and what do I have to show for it? A disease that's killing me inch by inch. A company house I'll be thrown out of the minute I can't work anymore. Debt at the company store. He turns slowly, taking in the entire crowd. "Is that what you want? To end up like me? Or worse, like the men who died in the explosion at Monongah? 362 men and boys gone in an instant because the company wouldn't spend money on proper ventilation." His words strike a chord. Miners nod, murmur in agreement. Everyone knows someone who died in the mines or who's slowly dying from black lung disease. Everyone has felt the company's boot on their neck, one way or another. The superintendent tries again, this time with threats. The company has contacted the governor. The state militia is on its way. Anyone still here when they arrive will be arrested, maybe worse. Last chance to save your jobs, your homes. But it's too late. The miners have found their courage, their collective voice. They stand firm, signs raised high, fair wages, safe mines, no more scrip, union now. This scene, miners standing united against company power, is being repeated across the coal fields of America in the early 20th century. In West Virginia, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Colorado, miners are rising up demanding change. The struggles are often violent, with companies employing guards, private detectives, even the military to break strikes. The 1913-14 coal strike in Colorado will culminate in the Ludlow Massacre, where company guards and state militia will attack a tent colony of striking miners and their families, killing 21 people, including women and children. In West Virginia, the mine wars will include armed miners marching on Logan County and the Battle of Blair Mountain, the largest armed uprising since the Civil War. These conflicts aren't just about wages or working conditions, they're about power, about dignity, about the fundamental question of whether corporations should be able to control every aspect of workers' lives. They're about democracy, not just in government, but in the workplace and the community. The miners' struggle will continue for decades, with victories and setbacks, progress and regression. The 1933 National Industrial Recovery Act will give workers the right to organize and bargain collectively. The United Mine Workers of America will grow into one of the most powerful unions in the country. Conditions will improve, though never enough, never completely. But on this morning, standing in the mine yard with your fellow workers, the future is unknown. All you know is that something has changed, that the fear that kept everyone in line has been overcome, at least for now, by a greater fear. The fear of continuing to live and work and die under the company's thumb. As the standoff continues, tension grows. Company guards finger their weapons nervously. Miners stand resolute, though many cast anxious glances toward their homes, thinking of families who will suffer if this goes badly. The superintendent confers with other company officials, their expressions darkening. Then, unexpectedly, a new group appears, the miners' wives, dozens of women marching from the company houses, some carrying children, others bringing food in baskets and pots. They join the miners, forming a second line behind the men. Their presence changes the dynamic immediately. The guards look uncertain. They were prepared to confront miners, not women and children. The women have their own signs. Our husbands deserve safety. Our children need fathers, not martyrs. We stand with the union. These women are the unsung heroes of mining communities, maintaining homes in impossible conditions, stretching meager wages to feed families, washing coal dust from clothes and bodies, caring for men broken by the mine, raising children in the shadow of the tipple. They know the cost of coal as intimately as the miners themselves. Their arrival emboldens the miners further. Children dart between the adults, turning the protest into something more like a community gathering. Someone produces a banjo, another a fiddle. Music rises, the old songs from the old countries, new songs about labor solidarity, hymns repurposed to speak of justice rather than heavenly rewards. By mid-morning, it's clear this isn't going to end quickly or easily. The superintendent retreats to the company offices to make telephone calls. The miners organise shifts, some returning home to rest while others maintain the picket line. Women set up an outdoor kitchen, serving soup and bread to the strikers. What happens next will depend on many factors: the company's response, the solidarity of the miners, the support of the broader community, the intervention, or not, of government authorities. Some strikes end quickly, with minor concessions from both sides. Others drag on for months or even years, becoming wars of attrition that test the endurance of everyone involved. The history of coal mining in America is, in many ways, the history of this struggle. Workers fighting for safety, fair compensation, and dignity against companies focused on profit and control. It's a complex story with heroes and villains on both sides, with victories and defeats, progress and setbacks. As decades pass, technology will transform the industry. Continuous mining machines with rotating drums studded with carbide teeth will replace picks and shovels, extracting tons of coal in minutes instead of hours. Longwall mining will allow for the systematic removal of entire coal seams, with hydraulic roof supports moving forward as the cutting progresses. Safety improvements will come too, though often only after disasters force regulatory changes. Methane detectors will provide early warning of dangerous gas buildups. Better ventilation systems will reduce coal dust. Roof bolting will replace or supplement timber supports, anchoring the ceiling rock to more stable layers above. The introduction of safety lamps and later electric headlamps will reduce the risk of explosions from open flames. Self-contained breathing apparatus will give miners a chance to survive in toxic atmospheres. Improved communication systems will help coordinate evacuations and rescues when emergencies occur. But even with these advances, mining remains dangerous. The mountain never becomes truly safe. It is merely controlled temporarily, imperfectly. Men still die in roof falls, in explosions, in equipment accidents. Black lung disease still claims lives, though at a slower rate, thanks to better dust control and improved medical care. The social structures of mining change too. Company towns gradually disappear as transportation improves, allowing miners to live further from the mines and shop at independent stores. The scrip system is outlawed. Unions gain strength, then lose it again as the industry contracts in the face of competition from other energy sources. Surface mining, using massive draglines and shovels to remove the earth above coal seams, becomes increasingly common, especially in the western states. It's safer than underground mining, but brings its own environmental costs: scarred landscapes, disrupted watersheds, lost habitats. By the late 20th century, coal mining employs far fewer people than in its heyday, but remains a vital part of America's energy mix. The miners who remain are highly skilled technicians operating sophisticated machinery rather than laborers with picks and shovels. Yet, despite all these changes, something essential remains: the relationship between the miners and the mountain, between human needs and the earth's resources, between the individual worker and the larger economic structures that shape their lives. The details change, but the fundamental story continues. As you stand with your fellow miners on this morning of defiance, you can't see the future, the changes that will come, the battles that will be fought, the lives that will be lost and saved. All you know is that something has shifted, that a line has been crossed. For better or worse, things will not go back to the way they were. The day wears on. The sun climbs higher, beating down on miners accustomed to the cool darkness of the underground. Children grow restless. Women redistribute food, ensuring everyone gets something. Men rotate positions, maintaining the picket line while allowing breaks for rest. The expected state militia doesn't arrive, perhaps delayed, perhaps never actually summoned, but company guards remain vigilant, watching from the perimeter of the mine yard. Occasionally, supervisors emerge from the offices to observe the situation, their expressions unreadable. As afternoon turns to evening, a decision is made. The miners will maintain a presence at the mine entrance, a token force to ensure no strikebreakers are brought in during the night, but most will return home to rest and prepare for tomorrow. This is clearly going to be a marathon, not a sprint. You're assigned to the night watch along with a dozen other miners. As darkness falls and the main body of strikers disperses, you settle in for a long night. Fires are built for warmth and light. Food is shared, stories are told of other strikes, other struggles, other times when workers stood against power and sometimes, though not always, prevailed. The night is clear, stars appearing one by one as the sky deepens from blue to black. The fires cast dancing shadows across the mine yard, across the faces of men who've spent most of their lives in darkness. There's fear here, uncertainty about what the morning will bring, but also a strange kind of peace. The peace that comes from finally acting, from refusing to accept what had seemed inevitable. Someone produces a bottle of moonshine, passing it around the circle. The fiery liquid burns your throat but spreads warmth through your chest. Voices rise in quiet song, mining songs, labour songs, the old ballads from Ireland, Wales, Italy, Poland, all the countries that sent their sons to America's coal fields. As the night deepens, conversation dwindles. Men doze by the fire, wrapped in blankets brought by wives or children. You remain awake, watching the mine entrance, the company offices, the road that leads to town. Everything is quiet, except for the occasional crackle of the fire, the soft snoring of sleeping miners. Your thoughts turn to family, to your wife who supported the decision to strike despite knowing the risks, to children who don't yet understand why their father stands against the company that provides everything they have. You think of John, his body failing from years in the dust, his courage in speaking out. You think of the mountain itself, both provider and predator, source of livelihood and death. Sometime after midnight, you notice a figure approaching from the direction of the company offices. Instantly alert, you wake the miners nearest you. Everyone rises, tense, watching the approaching shape resolve into a single man, the mine foreman walking slowly, deliberately toward your fire. He stops at the edge of the light, his face half illuminated, half in shadow. For a long moment he says nothing, just studies the assembled miners. Then, companies bringing in replacement workers tomorrow, train full of men from Virginia and Kentucky. They'll be here by noon. This is standard practice during strikes, importing workers from elsewhere, often men who are desperate enough to cross picket lines to take the jobs of striking miners. They're called scabs by union men, hated and feared for their potential to break the strike. "Why are you telling us this?" someone asks the foreman. He could lose his job for this information. Foremen occupy an uneasy middle ground between workers and management, often promoted from the ranks of miners but expected to enforce company policies. The foreman shrugs. Been in these mines 30 years, seen too many good men die because the company won't spend money on safety, seen too many families thrown out of their homes when the breadwinner can't work anymore. He pauses. "I got a pension coming. They can't take that. But you boys?" He gestures vaguely toward the miners. "You got nothing but what you fight for." With that, he turns and walks back toward the offices, disappearing into the darkness. The miners look at each other, absorbing the implications of his warning. If replacement workers arrive, the strike becomes much harder to maintain. Violence often erupts when scabs attempt to cross picket lines. The company will have state authorities on their side if that happens. Quickly, runners are dispatched to wake the union organizers, to spread the word through the camp. Plans must be made, strategies adjusted. The morning will come soon enough, bringing new challenges, new decisions. As the camp stirs to life again, you find a quiet spot, away from the fires, from the urgent conversations. Exhaustion presses down on you, from the long day, from the emotional strain, from the weight of uncertainty about what comes next. But there's also a strange lightness, a sense of having set down a burden carried too long. Whatever happens tomorrow, Something has changed. The fear that kept everyone in line, that made the company's control seem absolute and inevitable, has been broken. Men who spent their lives bending to the company's will have stood up straight, have found their voices, their courage, their collective power. The struggle ahead will be long and difficult. There will be defeats as well as victories, setbacks as well as progress. Some miners will lose their jobs, their homes, perhaps even their lives. The company has resources, influence, the backing of the legal system. The odds are not in the miners' favour. But something has begun that can't be easily stopped, a recognition of shared interests, shared grievances, shared power. This recognition will spread through the coal fields, through other industries, through the entire nation. It will shape the relationship between workers and employers for generations to come. For now, though, in this moment, you're simply tired. Your body aches from standing all day. Your mind is foggy with exhaustion and the effects of the moonshine. You find a relatively comfortable spot against a tree, wrap a blanket around your shoulders and close your eyes. The sounds of the camp fade, the murmur of voices, the crackle of fires, the occasional cough or laugh. Your breathing slows, your muscles, tense from the day's events, begin to relax one by one. First your shoulders, then your back, then your legs. The ground beneath you seems to soften, moulding to your shape. Your thoughts become less distinct, more dreamlike. Images from the day float through your mind, the miners standing together, the superintendent's angry face, the women arriving with food and support, the foreman emerging from the darkness with his warning. But these images lose their sharpness, their emotional charge, becoming mere shadows as sleep approaches. Your body feels heavier now, sinking slightly into the earth. The weight of your limbs is pleasant, comforting. Your breath deepens, becomes more regular. The cool night air on your face contrasts with the warmth of the blanket around your body, creating a cocoon of comfort despite the hard ground beneath you. The tension in your jaw releases. Your hands, which were unconsciously clenched, relax, fingers uncurling. The space between your thoughts grows larger, the thoughts themselves less coherent, more fragmented. You're drifting now, suspended in that peaceful place between wakefulness and sleep. Your eyelids grow heavy, too heavy to open even if you wanted to, but you don't want to. The darkness behind them is soft, welcoming. Your awareness shrinks to just the rise and fall of your chest, the slow beating of your heart, the gentle weight of your body against the ground. The world outside recedes further. The camp, the mine, the strike, all becoming distant, less immediate. What remains is just this moment, this breath, this heartbeat. You're floating now, all concerns dissolved in the approaching tide of sleep. Your muscles relax further, releasing the last hold of tension. Your breathing becomes deeper, more rhythmic. Everything feels warm, heavy, peaceful. Just breathing, nice and easy. The final threads of consciousness begin to unravel as sleep pulls you deeper. And as you finally surrender to sleep, there's a sense of connection to the earth beneath you, to your fellow miners nearby, to all those who have worked underground, who have struggled for dignity and justice, who have faced the mountain's power and their own fears. This connection transcends time, place, the specific circumstances of your life. It reaches forward to the miners who will come after you, who will benefit from the struggles of your generation but face challenges of their own. It reaches backward to those who first dared to descend into the earth's darkness, who learned to extract its treasures and respect its dangers. This connection, this continuity, is perhaps the true legacy of mining, not just the coal that powers industry, heats homes, builds nations, but the human story of courage, community, resilience in the face of danger and exploitation. It's a story still being written, still unfolding in mines and mining towns across America and around the world. As sleep claims you completely, your body now fully relaxed, your breathing deep and regular, you become part of that larger story, one miner among countless others, one moment in the long history of humanity's relationship with the earth and its resources, one chapter in the ongoing struggle for a more just and humane world. Your breathing slows further, becomes almost imperceptible. Your mind is quiet now, all thoughts surrendered to the peaceful emptiness of deep sleep. The camp continues its activities around you, but you're no longer aware of them. You've entered that private darkness that is somehow more complete, more enveloping than even the darkness of the deepest mine. In this perfect stillness, this perfect peace, you rest, gathering strength for whatever tomorrow may bring, whatever challenges await, whatever possibilities open up when people stand together against power, when fear is overcome by something stronger, when the seemingly inevitable gives way to the newly possible. Sleep now, coal miner, sleep deeply and without dreams. The mountain will wait, the struggle will wait. For this moment, this night, there is only rest, complete, profound healing. Your body grows heavier, sinking deeper into the earth that has shaped your life, your identity, your community. Your eyelids are completely still now, your jaw slack, your hands open and relaxed. Every muscle in your body has surrendered to sleep's gentle embrace. Your breath comes slow and deep, barely disturbing the blanket that covers you. In sleep, the coal dust that marks you as a miner is invisible. The calluses and scars from years underground merely textures in the darkness. And as you sleep, the stars wheel overhead, marking the hours until dawn. The fires burn lower, tended by those still awake. The mountain stands silent sentinel, ancient beyond human reckoning, indifferent to the brief dramas played out in its shadow. The coal within it, that buried sunshine from millions of years past, waits in the darkness, as it has waited since before humans walked the earth. Sleep now, rest now, dream now, as the world turns and time passes and the story continues without you for these few precious hours of peace and renewal.